Hello, I'm Alexandra Sleator, Career Accelerator, and that means that working together we can help you achieve your career objectives faster than you would on your own. Together we can address a wide range of corporate professional challenges. First of all, we can of course help you progress your career. And that can mean, of course, devising a promotion strategy so that you win that advancement that you so richly deserve. But it can also mean helping you to think differently and repackage your skills so that you can make a bid for a new role that's of interest. We can help you in your career right here, right now, to make the most of it in the current role you have by helping you polish, refine, strengthen such core skills in the office like communication, conflict, raising your influence, having more visibility, presenting with confidence, motivating others, and of course developing your leadership, just to name a few. And last, but by no means least, we can help you with a career transition. For example, we can help you make a quick and successful return to the workforce if you've been having a break. Or we can altogether help you redefine success and identify a new career, possibly in an entirely different industry. The point is that working together you'll achieve your career aspirations in a time and cost-efficient way. So hello and welcome to December 2013. And because of the time of year, I thought I would chat with you about performance assessment. Indeed, many of you will just have been or will be about to engage in performance evaluation conversations and to fill your firm's typically electronic performance evaluation forms and systems. And you will do so as managers, as recipients, but often as both. You will both receive and give feedback. So let's talk about what makes for a good performance assessment framework. And before I delve into any more detail, let me preface that by sharing with you that there's now really clear research that the world has moved on. Folks in the office are no longer, as they were for so long, passive recipients of a traditional and now outdated form of feedback whereby you're sat down, you're told your feedback, you don't have a right of rebuttal, and then you're sent on your way. Now, people at work want more involvement. They want to participate in the assessment of their performance, for example, through a self-assessment report that they file. They want more accountability. They want to understand what others think and why through 360 inputs, but also through more justified, more transparent arguments around what others think of their performance, like I said, colleagues and line manager included. And they want more recognition for what they've done. They want to be better valued and not just, treated as resources and chattel. Now we also have research, and here there's a formal piece of research, but there is a lot of qualitative evidence as well. The formal research was actually a poll that included over 1 million people in the office who work in office positions. And they said that the first reason why they quit a job is because of dissatisfaction with their boss. So you know the saying, we don't leave companies, we leave bosses. So if that is true, both the fact of wanting more from performance management and the fact of being dissatisfied with managers as the main reason why people quit, then what does it tell us managers about the way to appropriately manage people in this sort of new age? Well, it tells us that the old command and control style is no longer appropriate, and that as managers we have to do things differently. We have to talk more, for example, or have to say thank you, which some of us find hard. And when we have negative messages to deliver, we must justify them differently, and we must discuss solutions when there have been mistakes made in a novel way, and not just give solutions as some of us may still be tempted to do. So this is sort of the broad picture around which I want to share with you now two things. First, a view of a simple but I think effective performance management framework, and then 5 tips for good managers. So you're going to see now appearing on your screen a very simple graph which represents my view, but I don't think I'm unique in that, of an effective performance management framework. And you can see it's 3 steps, so very simple indeed. And it means in the first steps that good managers set clear objectives. Now those objectives may need to be dynamically adjusted if circumstances warrant it. And indeed the word dynamic is the one I want to pick up on in order to tell you about the other second aspect of that performance management framework, which is that feedback around performance is ongoing in that setup. It is informal, and in that setup managers are able to thank folks on a timely basis, to challenge them on a timely basis when issues arise, and to coach them for remediation, again on a timely basis. And because all of this is continually ongoing, that means that when you get to the year end and the formal review process, this becomes just an administrative formality. There are no surprises anymore because all the conversations that needed to be had have indeed taken place on a timely basis. And so sitting down is not a surprise, and having a chat is not a surprise, and what goes into the performance systems is not a surprise. All right, so now I've set a lot of scene, so time for those tips. The first tip is that indeed good managers set clear objectives. So when we think of objectives, we think, what are my objectives? And it goes, of course, to the nature of the tasks, of the deliverables. And here I advise good managers to take the time to describe, enough, clearly enough, transparently enough, precisely enough, with enough completeness, so that there is no risk of confusion, and that you don't risk getting a dog when you were asking for a cat. And a tip there is actually to ask the person that you've just delegated a task to, given an objective to repeat in their own words what is it that they will be doing. That way you can check that the two of you are indeed on the same page. And confusion, if there exists, will absolutely manifest itself at that stage. But in addition to what, let me also suggest that you talk about 2 other things: the why and the how. Now what could be going on here? So the why is, of course, why does the task need to be done? But also, why is that task being delegated to this particular individual? You see, what we also know by now is that productivity is a function of engagement. And engagement is that sense of purpose, that sense of energy and enthusiasm that we have when something is personally meaningful. The more we are personally connected to a task, the more likely we are to do well at it, to want to do well at it, and hence the productivity. So therefore, why is important, because somebody who feels excited about a task will much more likely do better at it than somebody who isn't. And it's not a question of skills, it's a question of interest. So sometimes I think that as managers we don't pay enough attention to that why. And if we see that somebody is disengaged around an objective, they're making a long face, maybe it's worth giving it to somebody who'll get more excited about it. Then there's the how. Then of course the how is maybe more relevant for junior staff who need guidance. But as a good manager, let me encourage you to have a think about what you want to share around how the task needs to be achieved. It could be tips around how the firm functions, techniques to get things done, but also maybe a word about the right kind of behaviors that need to be harnessed in order for the task to happen in the right way for the culture of the firm. So this is the what, why, and how of objective setting. That's my first tip. The second tip for good managers that I have is to play to your team members' strengths. Now here, another piece of research which has shown that when managers allocate work based on their team members' strengths, performance is likely to increase by up to 36%, so more than a third, compared to when there is no consideration given to strengths, just maybe skills. Conversely, and of course that is a bit of a silly exercise, when work is given to people based on their weaknesses, then performance dips by 26%. Now, of course, none of us would want to do that, but what this shows is that strength has a multiplier effect versus weaknesses. So we do even better when we play to our strengths than we do poorly when we are using our strengths, our weaknesses, sorry. So it shows how important strengths can be in performance. Now, how do you find out somebody's strengths? Well, hopefully, if you've observed them for a while, you will have a sense of their strengths, of what they're good at, and you can verbalize that for yourself. But if you're unsure, just ask them. Ask them what they're good at and see what happens. People will give you examples of things they've been good at. They will tell you stories of achievements. And here you'll notice something. When people talk about achieving something because they use their strengths, energy comes in the room, the person perks up, they're all enthusiastic. There's all this, like I said, energy in the room. It is possible for people to tell you stories of things they were good at, things they achieved, but there's no energy. And that's because they weren't playing to their strengths when they were, doing their particular tasks. So the sign of a strength is that energy. It's energizing to play to one's strengths. We can do well without playing to a strength, but we will be drained by it. So energy is that differentiating factor in terms of performance. So let me encourage you, good managers, to know your team members' strengths and to think about allocating work based on strengths and not just capabilities. And going back to my point about the why in the objective setting tip that I shared earlier, clearly playing to one's strengths, because it creates this sense of energy and enthusiasm, is clearly going to help with the engagement, and it's going to help the person stay with the task even when the going gets tough. So that's tip number 2 around playing to your team members' strengths. Now for tip number 3. Good managers focus on daily progress. Time for another piece of research, and this time about what job satisfaction is. There was again a poll done which covered nearly 20,000 people working in companies. There was 34 companies in the research, and what came out was around job satisfaction. And job satisfaction is a bimodal type of phenomenon. It has 2 main drivers. The first one is happiness more in the moment, day-by-day happiness, and the other one is more long-running fulfillment. So let's look at those in detail, individually. What I mean by day-to-day happiness is that all of us feel happy every day. We leave the office, and if we've had a good day, we know that we've had a good day and it makes us feel good, and we take it home with us, or we take it to the pub, or we take it to wherever we're going, and then we bring it back the next morning. And then the next day hopefully is a good day again, and it goes on. And sometimes we don't have a good day, those sadly are always around. But if we've had a good day the day before, and maybe if we have a good day the day after, then it's okay. So job satisfaction is about having even a good number of good days, and in fact more good days than bad days. And so if that's true, that we need good days to feel a sense of job satisfaction, then my tip to good managers is to watch your team. Have a look. You will see the people who are having a good day. Their faces will be bright and excited and energized. They will be going around with a sense of purpose. And then there will be the other people whose face will not look so good. They may look a bit drained, tired, stressed, lost. Mouth is drooping, the whole body language is not particularly energized. So those people are having a bad day. And again, bad days can't be helped. They will come around regularly. But maybe you can do something to intervene and to turn that day around and to help them end their day on a better note than it looks like they would otherwise. Because that sense of daily happiness, because it is so fundamental to that sense of job satisfaction, is also therefore key to that engagement that I told you about. It is because we stay engaged that we can ride out the bad days. But if every day is bad, we will lose we'll lose our energy, we'll run out of steam. So a good manager picks up on people in his team, in her team, who are having a bad day and try to help them with that in the moment. The second element of job satisfaction, as I said, is this more general sense of fulfillment, and that means that working in this company, working at this kind of job, is aligned with more general, broader goals about what we want out of life. So in that sense, here we as managers may be interested in knowing what makes people tick. Some people want to work very hard because they're very interested in being promoted, up the corporate ladder. Others are more interested in the subject matter. They want to be really interested in what they do and they get easily bored. And others have yet all sorts of other different motivations for showing up in the morning. And so again, going back to my tip around thinking about the why element in the work objectives that you set, then the question here is understand what makes people tick, because then in allocating work to them, you will be able to understand why they will continue to do the work, to perform, to stick with it even when the going gets rough, and how delivering on something will actually contribute to making their life generally meaningful. And those people will be more loyal to the firm, they will be more stable, more reliable, more resilient when indeed the going gets tough. So therefore, good managers are in it both at the micro level of the day-to-day, checking for engagement here and now around people having good days or a good enough number of good days, but also understanding the more general, the bigger picture around why people show up for work. And that's including themselves, of course. We as managers are our first direct report, I often say. So this is the third tip around daily engagement and tracking for daily progress, these good days. The fourth tip is around good managers saying thank you. But in fact, it's bigger than that. And indeed, at the beginning of this chat, I was telling you that we now want more accountability. We want, in fact, regular, informal, transparent feedback. So what does that mean? Well, that means, as I said before, that managers need to start doing a lot more talking than some of us like to do naturally. And as part of this regular talking about how staff members are doing, we need to be able to say thank you, which some of us indeed struggle with. But think about it now that you know about the importance of a good day for someone, for their overall job satisfaction. And think about the impact of having somebody telling you thank you for doing this. That is going to make that person's day. That is going to really enhance their job satisfaction in that day. It's going to be very useful if the next day happens to be a bad day, because they can treasure that memory of the previous good day where you thanked them, you, their manager, you recognize their performance, they feel valued, they feel engaged. So you're ticking all sorts of really, really good boxes when you say thank you to people. Now, that also means if you're giving informal feedback, ongoing feedback, that you call out on mistakes, right? It's not just about saying thank you, but it's also about challenging in the moment. Now, you may not want to call on mistakes in the heat of the moment where everybody's very emotional and passionate. You may want to wait a few hours, but certainly not wait 2-3 months until it's time finally for the dreaded formal review where suddenly you rehash the past and the person, is totally outstanded. What, astonished and, mind-boggled. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Of course, calling on mistakes early means, of course, that they can be fixed, that they don't balloon and snowball into intractable problems that nobody can get out of. So there's a pragmatic element around the fact that, mistakes caught early can be more fixed. But there's again a more human element around managing people, their expectations, managing their happiness, their well-being, around this informal feedback, positive with the thank you and negative with the challenges around, hey, I noticed this, I don't think that was appropriate, let's sit down and talk about it right here, right now. So this is my fourth tip to good managers, which is, you know, be in the moment, of course, with the good days and understanding what makes people tick, but be also there in the moment with the thank yous and their challenges. And so it's time now for my fifth tip, which for those of you who've watched some of these videos will not be surprised about, which is that good managers coach for solutions. I've commented before about the pitfalls of managers addressing issues, mistakes by giving out ready-made solutions. The first pitfall is obviously that you as a manager are setting yourself up for, you know, a potential problem down the line, because after all, as we get up the food chain, we stop being experts in everything. And so if we have created an image of us as the person with all the solutions, well, there can come a time when in fact we no longer have the solution. And if anything, that risks being a loss of faith at the minimum. So be mindful that if you present yourself as Mr. or Mrs. Solution Giver, that could be something that's going to come back to bite you down the line. The second issue with it is, of course, that you're creating dependency. Instead of facilitating your team members thinking their best thinking, instead of helping them enhance their problem-solving skills, you're in fact nipping all this in the bud by creating people who live with a crutch. That crutch is you. And that's not doing a service to them, to the firm in general, and as I said, certainly not to you, the line manager, who is building pressure. The third disadvantage, which people think less about, is that for those people who want to be the architect of their own solutions, well, we feel disempowered. And I say we because that's who I was. When I was making a mistake, and of course as a human being, I will be fallible and I will therefore make mistakes. I always wanted the chance to reflect on it and come up with possibly my solution. And yes, talk it out with my manager, get his or her ideas to get to a nice package. But I wanted to be respected, that I could address my issues and sort out my life. So if somebody told me what to do, I felt disrespected, demotivated, disengaged. So again, we have the problem around disengagement, in addition to all the problems around not helping people develop skills like problem thinking, problem solving skills. So those are the three issues that I personally have with managers fixing people's lives, fixing their own people's mistakes. So indeed, when somebody has, done something wrong, as I said, call it soon, not 3 months later when everything is too late, and ask them what they'd like to do about it. And if they look like they're a bit lost, make a suggestion, of course, to give them food for thought. And actually, let me rephrase that. Don't make the suggestion. Ask for permission to make a suggestion. Say, you look like you're thinking a little bit, but I'm wondering, would it be helpful if I made a suggestion? And then the person will say, well, actually, can I think about it some more and I'll come back to you? Or yes, I'm ready for the suggestion, right? That's much more empowering for them, and you're much more in that coaching, facilitating type of role, which helps people develop and grow rather than shrivel up. So that's the tip, the fifth one around coaching for solution. So there you have it, tips for good managers. And of course, I hope this will inform how you will maybe have some of these conversations that you still haven't had around performance in 2013. But I hope this also helps you set the stage for the kind of manager you want to be in 2014 around discussing goals that people will have for next year, the what, the why, and the how, in terms of maybe thinking about playing more to people's strengths rather than just to their skills or to habits that you've had in the team. Think about strengths and that synergetic effect in terms of performance. Think, of course, about job satisfaction, yours and theirs, the daily happiness and the more general sense of fulfillment. Be there, talk more, thank, challenge, and finally, last but not least, coach for solutions rather than giving them out. I hope this will have been helpful. As always, I would be delighted to hear your views. Please feel free to comment in the box below this video or simply to email me to have more of a private chat. My email address is appearing as always at the bottom of the screen. I'd love to hear from you. Now it's time for me to say goodbye, to say Happy Christmas for those of you looking forward to that. We've had Thanksgiving in the States as well as Hanukkah, so those holidays have already come and gone for those folks who celebrate them. For anyone who celebrates something around the world, around the festive holiday, have a wonderful time with your families, your friends, or your loved ones. Cherish them, and let's all welcome 2014 with a big bang, and I'll see you very soon for more career tips. Thanks again, and take very good care. Bye-bye.